Victims of the punt time going to Gosford this weekend. We've had the Wagga Carnival as well to keep us entertained. It's a pleasure to welcome back Mark Shean to the program. Mark, how's the week been treating you? Obviously had Hawkesbury off last week, but did you take any interest at the bull?
I watched a couple of races there. I didn't have a bet, but no, great theatre there, those jumps racing. Rick McIntosh, I don't know how he does it, the and the voice. I don't know how he lasts 3 days, but anyway, he certainly adds to the occasion. It was fantastic 3 days there at the Bull.
Indeed. Mark Rhoden, we've got two meetings sort of colliding at the moment, I guess you could say, with Wagga and Gosford. I guess we're looking at this on a Friday morning, so there's probably still a few horses to come out of some of these races.
Yeah, it's the Cup in particular where a good three of the main chances were dual acceptors in both races, and they're going around today. Spirit Ridge, Lord Mayor and Paths of Glory. I think that's the three of them. So they're all coming out tomorrow, which is going to change the shape of the Cup.
Okay, we did have a couple of questions. We'll get to some of them a little bit later on, but one of them's quite important relating to this meeting from Dan. Do the boys think speed maps are extra crucial at tracks like Gosford and Wyong? Mark Shean, your thoughts?
Definitely. Although this rail's been a little bit off in the true position lately with wet tracks, so it mightn't come into play as much on Saturday, but certainly on dry days it can be a bit hard to make ground. But as I said, the last two meetings they've been off the rail getting wide, so it mightn't make as much difference on Saturday.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, that's pretty much the way that you're seeing things as well?
Yes, I would say Dan mentioned Wyong as well. If Wyong's dry, and particularly if the rail's out three, it's almost impossible to be off the fence, even in run. You know, even outside lead's not great. That's a situation where your map is absolutely critical. It won't be as critical tomorrow. Up and off seems to be, that's sort of what I'd say on pace and off fence. But there's been a couple of meetings on soft ground in the true where rails in run wasn't a disaster as long as you could get off in the straight. So you can be maybe closest rails in run, but I'd certainly rather be down the middle a bit in the straight.
Okay, let's preview the quaddie legs. We'll start with the Takeover Target, which is race 6, small field, listed race over 1,200. Senior Fox is favourite around the $3.10 is best available from Easy Eddie $3.50, Enchanted Heart $4, Snitz at $7.50. Mark Shean, new ball. What do you think of the Takeover Target?
I'm going with Enchanted Heart back on the soft ground here. She was a bit disappointing last time out after beating Lost and running at Canterbury on wet ground, but that was probably closer to a good 2 at Randwick. Last time out they ran, sub 1.9. So she's got pretty good wet form. I think the last 2 runs on the wet she's won. Beat Ellsberg and then beat Lost and running. So I just think she gets in a nice position here, probably in the 1-1. And with an expected, at least a slow track at very worst, I would think that she'd be pretty hard to beat. I'm not sure about Senior Fox in this sort of ground. I think if the track does improve, it's certainly in his favour, but just taking at face value at the moment, a heavy track, I've just got a question mark on him in that ground.
Yeah, Mark Rhoden, you sided with Enchanted Heart first up at the big price. Could you make room for that horse here again?
I could certainly make room for it. I just half think she wants 1,400 now. There doesn't look to be a breakneck speed here, so she probably should be close enough in the run, but I thought she might have been looking for her best form is at 1,400 in my view. And just in this class, I'd rather her at 1,400, but she's certainly a wet tracker, there's no doubt about that. And I've got a basically joint second pick in my market. I'm sort of thinking along the same lines as Mark, but I've come up with a different answer in that I want to be around Senior Fox, who not only I would prefer on the dry, I think he's probably going to get back from barrier 7. Won't be 10 lengths off the lead or anything, but he'll be giving most to start. And also, just going through his form, he's got 3 runs in his career where he's gone absolutely through the roof. And Joe McDonald's been on him in all of them. Maybe that's some sort of key. Maybe he just clicks with him. I mean, there's no knock on T-Berry, of course, but that's just another little thing that's putting me off backing him as favourite. So I've ended up with Easy Eddie, who'll probably be on speed again, but I think he was just ridden too warm. That was a very fast tempo in Squintex's race. Squintex was right up on it with him and was too good for him. But I think just with a gentler tempo here, and a soft track is certainly in his favour, I believe, as well. He won Morris McCartan on a 10 a couple of years ago, then ran third in the Galaxy to Nature Strip on wet ground. So I think Wett's certainly in his favour. I think J Parr on speed, ideal setup for him, and I think he looks the one to beat to me. Enchanted Heart on the soft, a danger. Prepared to risk Senior Fox. And the other one I'd give half a sniff to back on the soft is Schnitz, who, well, I assume they'd try and ride him forward from this gate. Last time he was on a soft track, he ran third to Classic Legend, so on that he'd be right in this, but he really did nothing at Hawkesbury last week, so you are taking him in trouble a little bit. But easy Eddie for me, I think.
Okay. Race 7 is another listed race, the Gosford Cup over 2100. Polygrade's favourite, $5, narrowly from Paths of Glory at $5.50. Stockman's 6, Spirit Ridge is $7.50. Entente is 9, double figures the rest. Mark Shean, anything take your fancy in the Cup?
I like Stockman. The fact that there's going to be a fair few scratchings here actually, I think, plays into his hands because he is a back marker. So a smaller field, maybe down to around 11 runners, will be an advantage for him. Ran on a very dry track on the Kensington last time out when it was pretty hard to make ground. Gets his toe into the ground here, and I think he'll be steaming home at the finish. So I like him, Stockman. Polly Gray, well, she had 4 weeks between runs last time out. Just lacked a bit of dash at the final stage there. Obviously back on a wet ground gives her a chance. But there looks to be good speed in this race with Woogok on Tont Hush Rider. So I don't think they'll loaf here, and I think that'll suit Stockman just sitting back and hopefully sweeping around the outside lane.
Yeah, Mark Rhoden, the form out of that Canterbury race that Stockman was in first up is not too bad at this early stage.
No, and he said the soft track's a huge tick for him, I think, down on limit weight. I've got him one of 4 chances. I just want to see how this market shakes out with the scratchings. Originally, I want to be on Polly Gray. I think 2,000 metre distance range and soft ground is just definitely her. But with the scratching, she might end up, 320 or something, which is not overly appetising, I would say. Because I was happy to back her against the likes of Paths of Glory and Spirit Ridge on wet ground, but all that percentage is going to get funnelled into her now, so I don't know if she's going to be a value proposition when the market is reframed. Stockman, I mentioned, definite chance. He could be about 440 himself after scratching, so here we are again, same deal. 2 soft trackers. I'm giving a chance to Woogok, who will be on speed, and Oliferous. But again, they're going to be single figure odds after the scratchings too. So, going to have a look at this after this market is reshaped, but I'm not desperate to bet at this stage.
Okay, that is more than fair enough. We'll be just keeping an eye on things over the next 12 hours or so. We'll go to race 8, which is an open mile. Open quality for the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. In terms of the market, All Saints Eve, Wheelhouse, Nudge, they're all joint, and so is Nimmerley, actually. They're all sitting around that $6, $6.50 mark. And then, what have we got? Arrow Paro, I'm not sure that's how you say that. And then Brandenburg with Brutality. So this market doesn't know what it's doing. Mark Shean, can you help us out?
Yeah, it looks a pretty open race, this race. I think Brandenburg's got a chance here. I think even though he's got 2 duck eggs beside his name, I think both runs have been pretty good. Hasn't had a lot of luck. He hasn't come up with a very good barrier, but he's had excuses at his last 2. I'll have to go to the well again with Nudge, probably in the worst part of the track last time out. Wet form seems reasonable to me. Ran 4th in an Oaks, 2nd to Asiago one day on a heavy track at Kembla. So I think she gets a chance again with 52 kilos, and Brutality is the other one that I think has got a good chance here. He paraded a lot better first up than he did before he won at Rose Hill that day that he went to pieces in the yard, but he looked a lot better last time out on the Kensington track, and the wet track is certainly in his favour, but he's a back marker, so you'll just have to have a look at the track pattern on the day, but I will definitely be on Nudge and Brandenburg to start with, and maybe, cut out on Brutality if they can sweep from the back. Okay,
Mark Rhoden, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought, well, it's going to depend on how the track's playing. If you can make ground, Nudge That might be a good thing, actually, if they're swooping down the middle. With 52 kilos, as Mark mentioned, I thought she was in the wrong spot last time. She's been absolutely airborne this prep and just hasn't been able to break through. Her racing style is against her in most cases. That's why she doesn't win too often, but she is flying. There's no doubt about that. And jockey change, limit weight, soft track, no problem on any of those scores. I think she's the one to beat. Nimmerly goes up to 59 kilos here, but she was in great form before the Queen of the Turf run. She'll be right on the speed, and the wet track is no ground. I think she's in the race. One a bit wide. I really like the way All Hallows Eve attacked the line last start. Get a good run through that day, but on the up. And sort of another one that if it is playing a bit down the middle, it'll be suited, and it's a good price. And I don't know what to do with the Arapaho. I backed it first up. It was probably a bit ambitious there. I thought it looked just about the winner on the turn, but its condition gave out, I'd say. And I noticed it's 3 from 4 on soft ground overseas. So perhaps with that run under its belt, it can run a race 2. But the Nudge is the one I want to back. And then I'll certainly be having something on All Hallows Eve at double figure odds, and I'll have a think about the likes of Nimmerly and Arapaho.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll let Arapaho run here, Mark, instead of trying to ride it off the speed. It did seem to perform well at leading in the trial, as opposed to putting off the pace there. It doesn't look to be a lot of speed in this race, does it?
Well, I just thought it's Nimmerly. Well, Nimmerly doesn't want to really lead it; it'd rather just sit handy. Yeah. And I thought Electric Girl probably comes across, but that was about it. There wasn't much else, so that might be the best option for him. Yeah.
Yeah, T. Clark engaged as well on for Williams. Yeah. So again, there's another little positive there. And Rob wasn't exactly a push for the horse. I think his comments were he didn't even notice it. So we'll see if he picks up on anything when he's in the yard there on Saturday. We'll have a look at the last race to finish off the card. 1,200 metre benchmark 78. April Rain is the current favourite at $2.30 from Exotic Ruby. Willow Heart, Stella Pauline. They're all around the similar sort of price there in the market. Mark Shean, you opposing the favourite, or are you with it in the last?
No, I'm in love with April Rain. I don't know if it's going to be costly in the long run, but it's been all right so far. So I think she's bumped into a pretty average sort of field here. You look at what else is in the market. Bellucci Babe has never won at 1,200, failed both runs in the wet. Willow Heart, it's a dead set, got about 14 different personas. Willow Heart, one day it's on song, next day it's doing things wrong like it did last time out. Stella Pauline never won at 1,200, but does have a win on the slow. Instant Attraction was the one that I did have some sort of a query on. I thought it was a very good run the other day, but its wet runs have been a bit, how's your father? So I just keep coming back to the top one.
Okay, nice and easy. Mark Rhoden?
Unfortunately, Bellucci Babe came out a short while ago, which takes a bit of trimmed up April Rain into about 220, but she's probably, same situation with Nudge. She's drawn 3 from the outside here, so I assume she'll be looking for cover, probably sitting in a 3 wide line, and if that's the place to be, or no disadvantage, then she's probably a good thing. I think she's better than this field. Yeah, Instant Attract, I couldn't entertain Willow Heart or Exotic Ruby to beat her. Stella Pauline was very good in the wrong spot in a very strong race last time, but she was 150 to 1 or something that day. And she's run 5th. I'm very wary of high riding performances when horses run unplaced. I'm not sure of the physics behind it, but it's like they get dragged along. They have a bit of a day out, sort of get dragged along with a high class field, but that doesn't mean they're going to come out and dominate back in a more suitable race a lot of the time, I find anyway, so I don't want to be on her. Instant Attraction, sort of half a flashing right run at Canterbury last start, went to the line under her own steam. The wet form, the track was pretty soft when she ran at Rose Hill last November, I think it was. That's the case I could make for her on that score, but I must admit I'd be reaching if I was desperate to back anything other than April Rain. 220 is about as short as I like to take in most circumstances, but if unless it's mad on pace or something, I think she does look good.
Okay, very good. That brings us to the end. I'll get some best players, value bets, anything you want to throw out. Mark Shean, yours to begin with?
I thought my swashbuckler would be hard to beat in race 5. He was doing a lot of things wrong last time in, but did run a couple of good races, and good to see him bounce back. Admittedly, they were dead set camels that beat their last start, but
Shocking.
they were dreadful horses. But I just like the way he ran a couple of races last preparation when he was an absolute mess in the yard. And he looked a bit better last time I saw him, even though he ran poorly at the Kensington track, which I'm prepared to forgive. But I think he'll run a good race in race 5. I like Enchanted Heart, and I think April Rain's just too good for them in the last.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, your best?
I'm going to be half against Mark on one. I like Easy Eddie. I'm pretty keen on him. I think the way the race sets up for him. Best value, even though I'm quite like nudging the race. I think double figure odds All Hallows Eve's a bet.
Okay.
In race 8.
We'll do a little bit of quick Q&A to finish with. This is from Greg Punisher. Could Scurry take Lizzie Jelson a yard off? Well, I think if that ever happened, it would be millions. But I'd be giving Scurry the head start of the Flemington Straight if they're betting, and a sight unseen, no form guide in hand. I'd be more than happy to take his side on that. That's just me speaking personally. Midway races. This is from Luke. Midway races, discuss. We did mention this a few weeks ago. Mark Shean, has there been any update to when the midways are starting, what we can expect?
No, we had the major announcement, but that's about it. So blank page after that.
Is it the odds and evens of the just announce it and forget about it?
Look, it's fantastic that they're organising new races and giving the sort of middle range trainers a go, but you'd actually like to know what the qualifications or the classifications of it are when they announced it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we'll have to. I think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it with the midway races.
So, yeah, watch this space, Luke. We'll discuss it maybe in another 3 or 4 months' time. And this question from Jack. How long till PVL mimics the Victorian minimum bet laws? Mark Shean, I don't know we've heard anything outside of New South Wales regarding any changes from their angle, but certainly Victoria's trying to lead the charge for the punters at the moment. At least it would appear that way.
Well, how good is it that, if they put a market up and they haven't got the board not set sign up for, 3/4 of the punters. So I think it's a fantastic thing. If you want to put a market up, bet to it. If you don't, piss off.
Yeah. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Mark Rhoden, I'm not sure we'll be expecting to see anything in the short term from New South Wales regarding any changes, would we?
I wouldn't be surprised because it's a bit anti-bookie. It winds up the screws on the bookies a bit more, and Mr. Volandis has never been shy of doing that. So that, whether he just doesn't want to be seen to be copying Victoria, because that's not his go. So he's probably on the horns of a dilemma there. Does he put the boots into the bookies, or does he be seen to be copying Victoria?
Well, he's hardly been good for the punter in New South Wales. We're the most taxed jurisdiction anywhere, aren't we?
Well, that's true, but the way I think he sees it is that he's sticking it to the bookies, and he doesn't think about the punters at all. They're just collateral damage. He's been at war with bookmakers for 10 plus years, and the punters don't even enter his thinking. I think that's just my view. Look, it's obviously makes sense to do it this way. The only thing is that the advantage will be mostly taken by a few big teams who can sort of delegate their work among a bigger group of people, so be set to go as soon as markets come out. Individuals might struggle a bit, except for the very well organised ones. So that's just a detail. I think it just makes logical sense to do it this way. Exactly as Mark says, if you put up a market bet, it just really should be that way. Most bookmakers don't do form. There's only 1 or 2, or maybe 3 that do any form at all. The rest just ride on their coattails, and then are protected for 48 hours. It's certainly not fair, but a lot of things in racing aren't fair. I noticed one of the responses to Jack on Twitter was from Joshua, whose question was mimics or dwarves, and I was just wondering whether that might be the entertainment on Everest Day next year. Is that what he was talking about, or is he talking about the NBLs? I'm not sure there, but anyway, look, we'd love to see them everywhere. You'd like to see them at all in WA, of course, wouldn't you?
Yeah, still hasn't. I still have no idea how Betfair managed to reduce the commission in WA. How they've got that organised with the government without MBLs in place, I don't know. But it's positive. There might be a pulse. We'll wait and see. Anyway, thank you both for joining us. We'll talk about the meeting on Monday. We've got Rob Scurry on board. Can't wait to see what he finds out of the yard before he jets off to Adelaide next week for some more Group 1 racing. But until then, guys, go well.
Thanks, mate.
See you, Pete, mate.